What's up YouTube, it's Sample Agency back with another tutorial for you guys, and one of our followers asked if we could do a deeper dive into Schranz sound design and remake different sounds using Serum 2 for sure. We will go from the init patch to completely ready to go sound. I did a very simple Reese Bass pattern, so we will have a melody to make sound around it. The first step is going 2 octaves lower, as setting the unison to about 9 or 10. For the wavetable, default saw wave always works, but if you want something more experimental, you can use anything similar to the saw wave as well. The next step is going to filter section and selecting MG low 24 or just low 24. After that, I turn the drive knob a little bit up, so it has more warmth to it. Going to voicing, of course, select mono and glide to about 100 milliseconds, and the core of the sound is already there. To make it more interesting, I duplicate this wavetable 2 more times and selecting a bit different tone for each one. Also, don't forget to enable filtering for all the oscillators and balance them in volume together with the main layer. You can also play with unison and detune, so additional layers sound even more different. To make it more dirty and analog, I'm going to noise oscillator and selecting any type of analog noise. Don't forget to filter that one as well. Set the cutoff point depending on the sound you'd like to get. For the darker techno atmosphere, I prefer the cutoff knob to be on the lower side than usual Reese Bass. Going to the effects section, we are starting with the basic processing. That's usually a tube distortion, sometimes diode. This time I think we will use even both. The next step is multi-band compressor, so the sound is very fat and stable, whatever the note you are playing. To add some additional grit and texture, I prefer to increase the comp ratio to about 20. To perfectly shape the sound, I will be using 2 EQs, each one for the different adjustments. As example, let's boost the very low frequencies, so we will have a lot of pressure in the sub area, and then I will roll off some of the very high frequencies. About 10 to 20k is usually enough. On the second EQ, I am going to adjust the low mid area, usually around 200 in Reese basses, and to improve the presence in very dense mixes, I will be boosting around 3k with a very wide slope. To add the background ambience and make it more spacious, I will be using a combo of delay and reverb to mix them back a little bit to the original sound. In the delay, find the sweet spot when the reflection sounds like an echo of the original sound, and for the reverb, I prefer decay on the shorter side, in the whole mode and medium size, with a slight high and low cut, just to leave mostly the mid frequency. And our Reese Bass is done. Let's move to the next essential sound, which is screech, and you also hear that a lot in all of techno tracks. The MIDI pattern is very simple as well. Instantly I just put it 1 octave higher. Regarding wavetables, I usually prefer analog wavetables for techno, so feel free to try them all out. I will be using this one for screech and duplicate it 2 more times. The unison should be 16, which is maximum, and detune mostly on the right side like that. Go to the matrix. For the source, select LFO1, and for destination, select main tuning. In the LFO itself, draw envelope like this, and we are going to adjust it later. So go back and set the amount to 9%, which is exactly 1 octave. To make it more textured, I enable noise oscillator to select RP wide, a perfect noise for screeches, and then I send them all to filter just to roll off the very high frequencies. After that, I turn the drive knob all the way up. To improve the layering, I am going to detune both layers in different directions, so we are getting really dark and unpredictable sound. If you prefer darker tone, you can also play with octaves, and to transform it even more, I will be using FM modulation on A from other layers, or even test other modes like FM from noise. Of course, we need some really fat distortion, and this time the mode is hard clip. For the second distortion, I might just saturate the higher frequencies, so I'm getting an additional air and sparkle on top. Now it's time for a cue to clean up the sound. I start with a low cut filter around 150 and low pass filter to cut off the very top end around 20k. Since we are going for a very experimental and unpredictable type of sound, modulation is must have. Using one of my previously designed presets called for screeches, and here you can copy all the settings. For the second stage of modulation, I'm using both hyper and dimension, because they also have detune in there and will help us with the stereo image a bit. To design the space around the sound, I will use a classic combo of delay and reverb. For the feedback, I usually prefer it almost on the middle, so there is just a little bit of echo, and for the mix I never go more than 30%, to give the sound a slight ambience, not to completely make it wet. Same with the reverb, mostly on default settings, just turn the mix knob a little bit up. So here is the final version of preset. Those classic techno steps are mostly sampled, so we need to guess the sample type of effect when making them in Serum 2. Starting with the default shapes, we will change it later, but now set the semitones to 0, 3 and 7. And since we can use a sublayer as well, I set the octave to -1 in there and go straight to the filter section to select low 24. Now it's time to assign it to envelope 1 that looks like this already, to give it a slight movement. In the voicing section select mono, since it's a chord already we don't need multiple notes. For the noise this time I prefer something with a sharp transient, since I need the step to hit really hard. As example we can use a kick transient, it really helps to give the sound a nice sharp attack. To overdrive the gain of the layers I'm going to the mix section and drive those two knobs all the way up. Going back to the layers themselves, I would like to select different wavetables for all of them, so this particular sound gets a nice unique tone. Now it's time to switch the envelopes and make the main and filter envelope different, so you can control the filter separately. And now let the FX section do all the magic. Starting from distortion using tape saturation this time. For modulation I will be using both chorus and flanger, and stock preset already sounds nice after some adjustments. For the flanger I'd like to get the time travel type of effect, so let's dive through some of the stock presets. In the hyper dimension module I will do my own settings. As example, set the detune all the way up and rate about 50%, and then the mix knob around 25%. After that adjust the dimension size to around 20 and the mix knob to about 20 as well. To make it more digital and easier to fit in the mix, use the multi-band compressor to bring all the details of the sound to the front. One of the most important steps in this type of sounds is the delay, and the settings always depend on the track. The main things to consider are the delay time and feedback. Usually if it's a longer delay time we can keep the shorter feedback and vice versa. So I will select something in the middle. To make it even more analog and unpredictable, do a very slight modulation of the delay time so it's moving a little bit. For the reverb I'll actually be using play this time. The main settings to change are width, size and high frequency filter. And the final result sounds like this. So that's it for today guys, I hope you really enjoyed the video and let me know in the comments if there's any sound you want me to remake or if there's any other genre you want me to pick to make this type of tutorial. That's all for today and see you soon in the next videos. Bye!